Chagas disease is now spreading across America. It kills by attacking the heart, and most who carry it don't even know.
Tonight we're looking at TikToks that you are not mentally prepared for.
Authorities are warning, if you see any rabbits with tentacle-like growths, stay away.
Guys, scientists think that they have actually just solved the entire mystery of the Bermuda Triangle, and the truth might actually be scarier than aliens. So
Thank you to all the channel members for support. The scariest part about these videos, it says that around 70% of you guys are not subscribed. And if you guys could like the video, it helps the video get pushed through the algorithm. There's no daily pins for today because I forgot. Let's go.
So if you didn't know, this woman's name is Briana Williams, and what you just watched was her reaction to finding out that the police had discovered her sinister secret. So back in early November of 2019, Briana contacts the police in order to report her 5-year-old daughter, Taylor Williams, missing, stating that she had seen her the night before, but in the morning she was gone. Taylor's disappearance sent shockwaves through the community, and people quickly began looking for her, but she was nowhere to be found. However, weeks into the investigation, doubts begin to surface as detectives realize Briana's story just doesn't make sense. Then, all of a sudden, Taylor's remains are found 400 miles away from her house, with investigators ruling that her cause of death was starvation, meaning Briana had unalived her. At this point, Briana knows that the police had figured out what she had done, so she tries to unalive herself, but this fails and she gets arrested. In court, Briana is found guilty of Taylor's death and is sentenced to a well-deserved life in prison. Briana's story shows that you cannot escape justice and that karma will always catch up to you.
guys, scientists think that they have actually just solved the entire mystery of the Bermuda Triangle, and the truth might actually be scarier than aliens. So for decades now, people have obviously thought that the Bermuda Triangle was a supernatural zone on the planet that just couldn't be explained. But this new study is saying that the truth is somehow worse. So an ocean scientist from the University of Southampton just recreated what might have happened to the USS Cyclops. If you don't know what that is, that was the ship that vanished with 309 people on board back in 1918. And he's saying that this is not aliens and it is not portals, it's waves, but not just any waves. Dude, they are calling these rogue waves. They're insane walls of water that reach over 100 feet tall, like a skyscraper coming at you at full speed. They're saying that these waves happen whenever multiple storm systems collide, and then the ocean basically creates a monster. In a bunch of different lab tests, they showed that these waves could actually lift an entire ship up at both ends and snap it in half in just minutes. They're saying that these waves are so insanely sudden and so massive that even modern ships and planes might not survive them. These scientists are basically saying that the Bermuda Triangle might just be one of the most dangerous places on Earth where storms collide. All of the aliens and conspiracy theory stuff is obviously insane, but these scientists are actually thinking that this is the answer to the entire mystery. I want to know if you think the Bermuda Triangle conspiracies are real, or do you think this is the answer?
I'm not gonna lie, that makes a lot more sense, and it's weird to think about how big waves could get to the point where it could snap ships in half. Isn't that crazy?
Did you know that the shrimp you love is actually considered the cockroach of the sea? It's true. Much like their land-based cousins, shrimp are the professional cleaners of the ocean floor. Their diet consists of fish remains, decaying algae, marine waste, and even on occasion, the flesh of the dead. In fact, when a decomposed body is discovered in the ocean, shrimp are often the first scavengers to emerge, a sobering yet vital role in the marine ecosystem. But this scavenging is not without purpose. Without the tireless work of the shrimp, the ocean floor would become a wasteland of decay. For many of us, this knowledge does little to change our habits. Perhaps it is a testament to their flavor that what we do not see does not affect the appetite. It serves as a reminder that every creature has a vital role in the delicate balance of life. Like and follow for more amazing facts from our natural world.
Yeah, man, for those who don't know, shrimps are actually bottom feeders. That means they literally eat anything that's not supposed to be eaten. But me personally, I love me some shrimp, so I don't know if I want to give it up just yet. But I know that they say they're not like the best thing to eat, but you know what I'm saying? It's probably healthier than a lot of alternatives like McDonald's.
Okay, so this is breaking right now. Apparently, moments ago, when the press was talking to President Donald Trump on the South Lawn as he was getting ready to board Marine One, one of the press folks asked him if he was going to attack the cartels in Venezuela, like inside of the country of Venezuela. And he responded, "You're going to find out." Check this out.
Are you considering attacking the cartels inside of Venezuela? You attack?
Well, you're going to find out. You're going to find out.
Oh, man. Man, oh man, things are heating up. Now, I don't know for sure if that means that is, yes, we're going to do that or not, or if he's just like, you know, you never reveal your cards when you're playing poker kind of thing, which I would assume that he's going to do that type of tactic because he doesn't want to reveal his whole hand so that everybody knows what he's going to do or what we're going to do. But definitely an interesting response. Didn't see that coming today. Didn't have that in my on my bingo card, so to speak. So I will definitely be paying attention, and as things develop, if anything new pops up, I will definitely keep you guys updated, because at this point I feel like there is something coming, and I'm not sure exactly what it looks like, but I'm sure we'll all find out together.
Guys, the FDA has now literally approved eye drops that correct the need for glasses in just 30 minutes. This is literally insane. The FDA has now approved a thing called Viz, which is a new once-a-day eye drop that can help people who struggle to see things up close. This is basically a thing that's called farsightedness, which is basically whenever things are really blurry to you whenever they're close up, but usually this comes with old age. They're saying that this is a new once-daily prescription drop that creates a pinhole effect by constricting your pupil, kind of like adjusting a camera lens. They're saying that these drops will help you see close up way more clearly without messing up your distant vision. They're saying that just one of these drops in your eyes can work incredibly fast in just 30 minutes, and it can last in your eye for up to 10 hours at a time. The clinical trials are showing no serious safety issues, and the side effects are usually just mild, like a bit of a headache or maybe a little bit of eye irritation. What's crazier is they're saying that these eye drops are supposed to be launching in the US soon with a full nationwide rollout by the end of this year. I give you these news roundups every day, so make sure you add me and come back to me tomorrow.
Wow, so for those who need glasses, like those who can't really read without glasses, hey, there's your solution right there. Me personally, I can't see far, like that far. Like I can see close, but I can't really see like in the distance.
For thousands of years, humans have noticed that if you take a pond with no fishes in them, eventually fishes will just appear without anybody putting them there. And literally for millennia, that's just where we thought fish came from. Ponds that just sat there long enough. Nonetheless, today we know that fishes don't just appear out of nowhere. So what makes empty ponds just have fishes disappear? One answer, ducks. More specifically, little duck feet. You see, when a duck lands in a pond that has fishes in them already, sometimes they step on fish eggs. Those fish eggs will get stuck to their little duck feet and then transfer those fish eggs to another pond that didn't have fish already. This process is called transpermia. However, what researchers began to notice was the rarity of transpermia in general. I mean, yeah, it happens. Duck feet sometimes get fish eggs on them. However, ducks fly at 40 miles per hour. The odds of fish eggs sticking to their feet for their entire flight is relatively low. So researchers began studying ducks like they never had before. And what they found out was that these ducks weren't just getting duck eggs on their feet. They were swallowing the egg whole. Miraculously, the egg would stay alive long enough inside the duck to transpermia to another pond.
It's inexplicable. Like, it's nothing like I've ever felt, or it just doesn't, you can't even comprehend. But I knew straight away it was acid. My t-shirt dissolved.
December of 2014, 30-year-old Andreas Christoferos was at home with his wife and young son when suddenly he heard a knock at his front door. Assuming it was just another friendly neighbor or perhaps a delivery man, he went to open it. But as soon as Andreas opened it, he only heard, "This is for you, mate," and was splashed in the face with battery acid. He says immediately he knew it was acid and ran through his house screaming for his wife to call 911 as he tried to find the kitchen where he would begin dousing his face with tap water. But as he ran to the kitchen, his t-shirt began melting off of his shoulders from where this acid was dripping onto it. And so finally his wife comes running down the steps wondering what is going on, and as she does, she has socks on, and when she steps in these areas where the acid has dripped dripped off of Andreas onto the carpet, she recalls it disintegrating her socks off of her feet. Ultimately, he was rushed to the hospital where he was not expected to survive by doctors, but he fortunately has after more than 60 surgeries. However, he is still partially blind and forever scarred. The attacker, a painter and decorator named David Phillips, was later caught and confessed to police that he had driven 300 miles to find a man who he planned to get revenge on for SAing a member of his own family. But very quickly it was discovered that David Phillips had found the wrong house and splashed the wrong man. Phillips was convicted but has since been released from prison after his sentence was cut in half and is now back in society. Andreas says, in regards to the pain of that acid attack, he would have rather been shot.
Could you imagine getting splashed with acid? I wonder how that feels. Like, honestly, I don't wonder how that feels because, like, I feel like it would be horrible. Like, I don't even want to process how that feels, but you know what I'm saying? I'm praying for that dude.
Travel Squad.
Yeah, Britney Spears, dude, she's been just going through the media like almost her whole life. There's always something new with Britney Spears, like every 4 to 5 years, you know what I'm saying? And I wonder who leaked that video of her, because that is insane.
A parasitic infection called Chagas disease has made its way to the United States and is now considered to be hypoendemic according to experts at the CDC. What this means is that there's low sustained transmission and we need to help raise awareness about this infectious disease. According to a recently published article by the CDC, Chagas disease has been reported in humans in 8 states, including California and Texas, and 32 states now contain the kissing bug, which transmits the parasite Trypanosoma cruzi, which causes Chagas disease. There are various modes of transmission of Chagas disease, but it starts with infected fecal matter from the kissing bug, and then that material could come into contact with broken skin, or you touch your mouth or eyes. It could also pass through blood or from mom to baby congenitally. There are 3 phases to this illness. The first is the acute phase that lasts for about 4 to 8 weeks, where people have a fever, headache, fatigue, malaise, and they could be having swelling at the site of the bite called a chagoma, or if the parasite enters the eye, you can get swelling that's called Romagn's sign. If left untreated, it could enter a latent phase where you don't really have any symptoms for years or potentially decades. Then it ends up in this chronic phase potentially where you could develop potentially a fatal heart arrhythmia or severe gastrointestinal complications. Chagas disease is treatable if you identify it and treat it with anti-parasitic medications early on, which is why CDC scientists urge that the general public understands that this is a possibility so that healthcare workers in this country know about it and can potentially test and treat that, as we are now potentially entering an endemic phase. So please share this information widely so that people are aware about Chagas disease.
Authorities are warning, if you see any rabbits with tentacle-like growths, stay away. Today, on the internet, people have been freaking out after these images have emerged of diseased rabbits with tentacle-like growths and horns. And while these rabbits, which were spotted in Fort Collins, Colorado, do look like some shit out of The Last of Us, there's actually a pretty logical explanation. These growths are actually caused by a virus called Shope papilloma, and while there is no cure for this disease, believe it or not, it's fairly common among certain rabbit populations in America, and it's not even new. In fact, there are some records of it dating all the way back to the 1930s. And before the word virus starts making you lock your doors, these things are kind of like benign cancers that just continue to grow, but they won't necessarily harm the rabbit unless it spreads into a sensitive area. The disease also, thankfully, cannot be passed to humans or other animals. However, authorities have recently reiterated and warned locals to stay away from them to avoid stressing them out or provoking them.
Interesting facts you never knew. The last one will shock you. If you stay up all night, your body burns an extra 161 calories. If you pinch the skin on your elbow as hard as you can, you won't feel any pain. One of your friends wants to be more than a friend to you. It's the third person you see when you click on share and then more. A woman can get pregnant while she's already pregnant and have children by 2 different people at the same time. If you Google the word askew, the page will tilt slightly clockwise. Go do it and then come back and let me know if it worked in the comments below. There's a syndrome where people believe they're turning into trees called Cotard's syndrome. Almost 20 million people share the same birthday. Comment your birthday and see who has the same one as you. My birthday is August 29th. Before the last fact, support me by clicking the follow button for more interesting facts every day. A British Marine had a leg tattoo of Liverpool's motto, "You'll never walk alone." He got hurt in Afghanistan and had to get his leg amputated, which also cut off part of the tattoo. Now it says, "You'll never walk."
The wildest alien encounter has been hidden by the Mexican government for over 50 years. It all happened to this 23-year-old Mexican student pilot named Rafael Perez, who was going out to fly a plane on his own for the first time in 1976. And I can't think of any other explanation to what happened to him next. He takes off at about 8:30 a.m. at an airport close to Mexico City on a training flight expected to take about an hour or so. But almost immediately after taking off, Rafael is surrounded by a thick fog that rolls in out of nowhere, and he can barely see what's directly ahead of him. He tries contacting air traffic control for help, but strangely doesn't hear back from anyone. Now he realizes something definitely isn't right, so he attempts to turn left to loop back around to the airport, but his plane isn't turning. It just keeps flying straight. And then randomly, his plane starts speeding up, rapidly climbing higher and higher into an enormous cloud patch above him completely on its own. He's gaining altitude so fast that he ends up passing out. Next thing he knows, he's waking up in his cockpit, scrambling to his senses, realizing that he somehow hasn't crashed the plane. Rafael looks out the window and he's cruising along just fine, seeing nothing but the open ocean out ahead of him, the fog now completely gone. He checks the time and realizes something isn't right. It's 11:30 a.m., meaning he was out cold for well over 2 hours. The fact that his plane was still flying was already miraculous enough, but then he looks up his coordinates and finds out that's the least of his problems. He was way out above the ocean, further from the coastline than he's ever been. But what didn't make any sense was that the distance from the airport he took off from to where he was now was way further than what a plane could have physically traveled in that time span. An amateur first-time pilot who was passed out just set a world record flight time by accident. Not just that, but his fuel gauge was still almost full, and again, there's no way he could have traveled that far while barely burning his tank. Almost like he was either accelerated by an external force or maybe even teleported. He has no idea what's going on when finally a voice comes in over the radio asking if he's okay. Rafael responds explaining his situation, how he flew into a fog, lost control of his plane, then passed out and now has no idea how he got here. The guy on the other end of the radio is Carlos, air traffic control, who oddly asks Rafael if he's alone in his plane, to which he replies, "Yes, of course I am." Carlos then lets him know that he's actually off the coast of the Mexican city of Acapulco, which would have normally been a 3-hour flight, but he somehow got there in a little over an hour. And there was something very concerning he had to tell him in person. So Rafael lands the plane at the Acapulco airport, and immediately men in suits rush him as he's getting off the plane to take him to a hospital. They test him and verify he's completely sober. A psychologist even confirms he's clinically sane. Rafael has no idea what's going on, and so they finally reveal what really happened to him during his flight. Turns out that while he was out, Rafael actually had a full-on conversation with Carlos that he doesn't remember at all, and it was all recorded. And what Rafael said over the radio is a little disturbing. The pilot is speaking because he is ordered to. That is, it is his voice he speaks, but not of his own free will. We will use it as a microphone. Your equipment is too primitive. No matter who we are or where we come from, it is enough for you to know that we are beings of this universe where you belong. Our planet is many light years away, but we are physically equal. I repeat that all races in the universe are physically equal. You are not alone in the universe, and there are other races that are far away from you, and we are watching you. For the next hour, Rafael talks about humans being the only intelligent species in the universe that still partakes in warfare and violence among their own kind, going back and forth in discussion with Carlos on how humanity's on the trajectory of nuclear annihilation and may end up getting exterminated if they continue down this path. That we are an inferior civilization on the grand scale of the universe, and there are even other species physically similar to us but mentally much more developed. It appears as though some extraterrestrial entity took control of Rafael and his plane and used his body as a vessel of communication to speak with other humans, initially speaking to them in Spanish, and this all really happened. You can even find a log and the actual original audio of the entire convo online. They even tested the alien, asking a question questions in English and German, to which Raphael responded with perfect understanding and fluency in those languages. Yet he only ever spoke Spanish before this. No one had or still has any idea how Raphael ended up off the coast above the ocean, or what caused him to start saying the things that he was saying. A very detailed conversation that Raphael has zero recollection of, which some attribute to some form of temporary psychosis. But speaking in English and German and the oddly specific nature of the dialogue suggests otherwise, because another declassified report from Mexico that happened just a year before then might explain who or what this was. In 1975, another pilot, Carlos de los Santos, was flying above this area, just a little north of Acapulco, the same region Raphael got possessed in just a year later. This time, the pilot is surrounded by two metallic craft hovering right above his wingtips, and a third directly under him. Again, there's a full audio record of this online as it's happening in real time, and you can hear the terror in the pilot's voice. The three craft take control of his airplane, which he described looking exactly how UFOs are reported to look like today. Smooth exterior, no visible propulsion system at all. Controlling his plane for a whole 18 minutes before zipping away. After they left, the pilot landed safely, only to be medically examined as totally sober and sane, and approached by the all too familiar men in black, who told him he didn't see anything. Who in an interview, the pilot himself revealed, they said in Spanish, "If you appreciate your life, don't talk to anyone." Seems like the United States isn't the only country to get visited by aliens and UFOs, it's just the one with the loudest mouthpiece. These are official reports of alien possession and UFOs that the Mexican government quickly buried almost 50 years ago, as they had no explanation for them, only to regain attention recently on the internet. Which really makes you think, how many more reports are out there in different countries around the world that haven't been made public? Hey, for entertainment purposes only, right, Mr. FBI guy watching this video?
Everyone needs to know what's happening in Nepal right now. At least 8 people have died today after huge Gen Z-led protests broke out against the government's decision to ban social media. At one point, after the protests turned violent, police used tear gas, water cannons, and rubber bullets against a large group, mostly in their teens and 20s, who broke through police barriers and stormed the federal parliament. As the situation escalated, a curfew was imposed and the army was deployed. But you see, the reason they're so angry is that on Thursday, the government banned 26 social media apps, claiming users have been spreading hate speech, fake news, and committing crimes online. So in response, they announced that all social media companies needed to register with the government, or their access will be blocked to Nepal's 30 million citizens. However, only 5 decided to register, including TikTok, but 26 others like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, WhatsApp, Reddit, etc. all refused. Partly because registering with the government would require them to do things like remove prohibited content within 24 hours of complaint, develop algorithms to prevent illegal content publication, monitor for hate speech, misinformation, and harmful content, and comply with content removal orders from the government. But since the majority didn't register, the social media blackout has already caused chaos, because many companies rely on social media to make money. Many use it to communicate with family working and living abroad. Many use it for news and information. And then, of course, there's the biggest issue, the freedom of speech. Many people allege that this is an attempt to silence people's voices and their criticisms against government corruption. In fact, a series of draft bills being debated in Nepal's government right now could mean that people are fined or even jailed for content that is deemed against national interest, and would also allow the government to shut down newspapers and revoke the licenses of journalists. And that's a huge issue, because today's protests were only inflamed by the social media ban. The main root of the frustration is government corruption. Their prime minister has hit back at these allegations, one, denying them, and also saying he would not tolerate the nation being undermined, and that the independence of the nation is greater than the loss of jobs of a handful of individuals. And so, as of right now, TikTok is pretty much the only platform that they'll even be able to see this video on.
Well, Drewski's new skit both have him and Theo facing backlash on the internet. Crazy word. Here's what's going on. Drewski pretended to be a white NASCAR fan, and while social media was laughing about it, others were saying that it's basically whiteface and he should be canceled for it. Theo said, nah, I'm trying to hop on the fun. I'm about to get my Jerry curl on. Yeah, well, people wasn't going for that. They said if he do that, not only he'll be labeled racist, but it will also be blackface. While you have others saying, nah, if Drewski can do it, why can't he do it too? It's all for giggles at the end of the day. So now Drewski is being threatened on Twitter to take down the video, while Theo is being threatened not to do what Drewski did, but in reverse. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think either one of them care. Be honest with you. Telling Theo he's gonna get canceled for something is gonna make him want to do it more. I don't think you guys realize that. And Drewski is definitely not taking down that video. I'm just being honest with you. He's not taking it down, bro. Like, I can only see this as people are gonna get even more mad. I'm gonna be honest with you. What do you guys think about this whole situation though? I'm just here reporting.
Yes, so for those of you who are not unemployed like the rest of us, I guess, apparently Drewski did a skit where he pretended to be a white redneck. In my opinion, it was like a lighthearted, funny video. If the other dude does it with, and he's, I guess, quote unquote blackface, and he does it in like a light, funny way, in my opinion, it's fine. You know what I'm saying? These are comedians at the end of the day. But just in case you guys didn't see the Drewski video, I'm gonna put it in. Let me know your thoughts about it. In my opinion, it was like lighthearted. I don't think he really wanted to be racist. It was funny. But if Theo Von did it, do you guys think a lot of people would actually like freak out? Like, oh my God, he's blackface, he's being racist? Let me know what you guys think.
Here's the love, here's the honor. If you can't come in her, come on her. Travis Squad. Hey, Suanna. Suanna.
She's not listening.
Hey, come up. You need to listen to your nana. Go ahead, baby.
6 o'clock.
Girl, you crazy now. Hey, me, Ma. How you doing, baby? How you doing, baby? Good. All right, now. Mama. Hey, you lost, boy?
No, I'm going to the race.
What race?
NASCAR race.
You going to NASCAR?
Yes, sir. A little bit.
You ain't lost, did you?
No, I'm good. I'm going to the race, sir.
Sure about that?
Yes, sir.
Find something safe to do, boy. Yeah. If liquor don't kill us, pussy must. Oh, that fucker will go. Who are you? I see. Dan Arthur.
Randy Van Denver.
Dan Arthur. Oh, South Dakota.
Yeah.
Damn right. Proud to be American.
In the spring of 1959, a middle-aged civil engineer named Wu Chiu biked through his rural town in Taiwan. He had gotten word that his wife had become horribly sick. As he got to his neighborhood, he started to realize that he was really gassed. Pedaling to his house was just unbelievably exhausting. He saw one of his neighbors, and his neighbor kind of scowled at Wu, and they turned and just went the other way. As he finally gets to his house, Wu would find his wife in their bedroom, and she was looking very pale and sick. Her name was Lin Wang Yao. She was 37 years old, and so Wu immediately began to tend to his wife. But over the next couple of days, Lin did not get better. Wu knew, like, if I don't get my wife to a hospital, she might not make it. One of his neighbors had a donkey cart. Put her on the cart, and by the time they're there, like, Lin is basically unconscious, and then she died. In Taiwan, it's customary during funerals to have the body of the loved one be brought into the house where it stays for 7 days before they're cremated. And then over the next several days, Wu was at home next to his dead wife. On the third day, everybody in the room just suddenly went completely silent, and then people began to gasp. And they were looking at the casket, and there is Lin, except now she's sitting upright, looking around the room, clearly alive. The next day, when they woke up, Lin was so much better, he began to notice something really strange. She just sounded different. Before Lin died, she had been illiterate, but now she was not only able to read, but she could also read and speak fluent Mandarin, a language she didn't know. Wu and Lin became the biggest curiosity in town, that it eventually reached the Taiwanese government. And so on March 17th, 1962, the Taiwanese government sent for Lin, and they tell her she's gonna be meeting with the chief physician there. She walks in the room, Lin looks at him like with a double take, and she says to the chief physician, "Uncle?" Lin revealed to the chief physician that Lin really was not her name. Her real name was Zhu Shuhua. They did have a niece whose name was Zhu Shuhua, and a year earlier, she'd gone missing during the Chinese Civil War, and she had been presumed dead, but nobody nobody had ever found her body. According to Lynn, Zhu did die during that war. Her spirit was sort of stuck in this purgatory for some time. Then, a year after Zhu's death, when Lynn died, Lynn said that Zhu's spirit entered Lynn's body, thus she came back to life, but in a different body. Back in the beginning of the story, when Wu is hustling home, biking as fast as he can, when those neighbors were interviewed, they would say that the reason they gave those looks to Wu is because they knew Wu was married to Lynn, and he's got this woman sitting on the back of his bike. Now, Wu swore there was no woman on his bike, but he would recall that the bike did feel really heavy. Later, Lynn would say that actually Zhu's spirit had come down and hopped on the back of Wu's bike, and then once Lynn passed away, she switched places with her. For the rest of her life, Lynn would live as Zhu, and she would become a community and spiritual leader, and she would pass away in 2018 at the age of 97. And so if reincarnation is real, this story might just be one of the most credible cases ever recorded.
Dude, if reincarnation is real, not only is that the most insane case I've ever heard, that like genuinely sent chills through my body. I was like, what? Dude, if that is a real story, like that really happened, that really shocked me.
Chagas disease is now spreading across America. It kills by attacking the heart, and most who carry it don't even know. The CDC confirms the insect that spreads it, the kissing bug, is now found in 32 states. Infections are confirmed in California, Texas, Arizona, Louisiana, Missouri, Arkansas, Mississippi, and Tennessee. In Los Angeles County, over 45,000 people may be infected, and 98% are unaware. The bug strikes at night, biting the face and leaving behind parasite-filled feces. When scratched, the parasite enters the bloodstream. It hides for years, then strikes. Symptoms are often ignored: fatigue, fever, vomiting, swollen eyelids, but damage builds over time. Up to 30% will suffer heart failure, digestive collapse, or sudden cardiac arrest. Infected animals are turning up across the south and east, New Mexico to Maryland. This is no longer an imported disease, it's spreading. The CDC now recommends Chagas be declared endemic, permanently established in the US. Over 300,000 people may already be infected. Most have never been tested. This is a silent outbreak, and it's not going away.
A third of the Buddhist monks at a temple in northern Thailand have tested positive for meth. 6 out of 18 monks at Wat Protham in Pijit province were disrobed after failing surprise drug tests during a police raid on Monday. Officers also found meth pills, a homemade gun, and bullets hidden in the temple. The 6 monks were kicked out of the monkhood and sent for rehabilitation.
Dude, monks? Yo, monks are known to be the most disciplined people of all time. There's literally a study I've seen that's shown that monks' brainwaves are completely different from the average human, like completely.
The world has changed so much in the last 20 years. In 2005, Sony filmed arguably the most insane TV commercial in history. They launched 250,000 bouncing balls down a suburban street in San Francisco. Also, they could highlight the vast array of colors that their new TV screen could display. They called it color like no other. Now, not only did this cause tens of thousands of dollars in damages, but it also led to a countrywide bouncy ball shortage. They somehow got approval from both the city and the local residents that lived along the street where they wanted to film it, saying, "We're not sure exactly what's gonna happen, but whatever we destroy, we'll fix it 10 times better." Bro, some of these balls reached up to 136 miles per hour. They caused $74,000 in damages to broken windows and dented cars, and they even found some of the balls after miles away. And despite the need for a hefty cleanup, the locals loved it. And apparently, till this day, some of them say that they still find an odd rubber ball somewhere in a gutter every now and again. Unsurprisingly, it quickly became one of the most popular television commercials of the 2000s. It won multiple awards, and it helped Sony bounce back after falling profits. And I guess you know an ad is successful when we're still talking about it 20 years later.
So there's a treasure chest worth about $2 million buried somewhere in the mountains. And about 300,000 people are about to try and find it. It all starts with this guy. His name's Forrest. And Forrest is 58 years old, living in New Mexico. And bro, he's kinda like a real-life Indiana Jones. He finds and trades and sells precious artifacts from around the world. He actually runs a little art gallery in New Mexico. But one day in 1988, his whole life falls apart because he's diagnosed with terminal cancer. And the doctors tell him that he only has a 20% chance of living the next 3 years. And this really sucks for him. He doesn't know what he's gonna do. So, being the eccentric guy that he is, he decides he's gonna die with some of his valuable artifacts. He apparently wants to inspire people to get out and explore. You know, like maybe once he dies, they'll find him out there and they'll find the treasure. And so he gets started on this plan. He goes and he buys a special box and he fills it with $2 million worth of valuable artifacts that he's collected over the years. Like some gold nuggets, some ancient Chinese carved jade figures, an ancient gold ring, a gold bracelet, stuff like that. Then he maps it all out, that he's gonna take that box into the Rocky Mountains with him and he'll find a nice place to lay down with it and he'll basically just die with it, I guess. However, that doesn't actually happen because he ends up getting better and he beats the cancer. I guess it goes into remission. And he's so happy and he's so relieved that he can keep on living. And so fast forward to 2010 and Forrest is 80 years old now. And he's approaching what might be his final years again. And so he starts thinking about his old plan again to get people out exploring and living a life of adventure like he did. And so this time, he decides to hide his treasure box with $2 million worth of artifacts in it somewhere in the Rocky Mountains. And he's gonna turn it into an old-fashioned treasure hunt, thinking maybe this will inspire people to become, treasure hunters. So he hikes up into the mountains to the spot where he planned on dying all those years ago. And he buries the chest in a place that's in Yellowstone National Park. Then he writes and publishes his memoir called The Thrill of the Chase. And in it, he talks about his life, but it also includes hints and clues about where this treasure is throughout the whole book. Specifically in a poem he wrote that he says will lead anyone to the treasure. So now, boom, the hunt is officially on. And pretty quickly, word of this treasure hunt starts to get around, and people are like, yo, there's $2 million treasure buried somewhere in the Rocky Mountains. And they all start looking for it. Tens of thousands of people start looking for it. And they're all like picking up his memoir, they're combing through it, looking for clues, they're analyzing the hell out of that poem that he wrote. And eventually, some of them even use like some kind of software to analyze Forrest's facial expression in TV interviews to maybe get some hints from that. And over the years, the amount of people who join this treasure hunt grows and grows. Supposedly, somewhere around 300,000 people are actively involved in this. But still, no one has even come close to finding it. And here's the thing though, searching in remote areas of the mountains actually gets really dangerous for some people. One person ends up falling off a 500-foot cliff, another person drowns while in a raft looking for this treasure. In fact, at least 5 people unfortunately die from being involved in this. It gets so bad that New Mexico police publicly call for Forrest to call off the treasure hunt because it's putting lives at risk. But of course, Forrest is like, nah. Because this is exactly what he wanted. He wanted people to get out and explore. But even still, at this point, no one is even getting close to finding this $2 million treasure. Until something kind of crazy happens. One day in 2018, this guy is scrolling on Twitter. His name is Jack. Jack, he's just a regular chill dude. He's around 30 years old. Jack's scrolling through Twitter one day and he stumbles across people talking about Forrest's treasure hunt. And he sees that this hunt has been going on for like 8 years at this point, yet no one has located the treasure. And he's like, $2 million? I gotta get in on that. Here's the problem though. Jack, he's not an Indiana Jones type. He's actually a former med student. He doesn't know how to treasure hunt. He's never done anything like that before. But he's a pretty smart guy, so he believes he has the ability to figure this out. So he gets to work and he starts reading tons of blogs that other people have posted on the internet, blogs by people who have been out looking for this treasure. And he can see which locations they've already been searching and like things that they've already tried, stuff like that. Then he gets a copy of Forrest's memoir and he reads it over and over and over again. And he watches every single interview that Forrest has ever done, every word Forrest has ever said, everything Forrest has ever published, Jack has studied it meticulously. And soon he starts to notice that Forrest, he's not all that sophisticated of a guy. He's actually not embedding hidden secret meanings and double entendres in his writing. He's way more simple than that. And all the other treasure hunters out there are probably way overthinking it. Then he decides to go solo. Once he actually goes to the mountains and starts hunting, he doesn't engage with anyone else who's also looking for the treasure. He doesn't join their search parties or their social groups. He even starts avoiding the blogs because he doesn't want to get caught up in what a big group might think. And so Jack searches, and he searches, and he searches. And, this isn't easy for the guy. Like, it takes up a good chunk of his time. Every time he goes out into the wilderness to look, he's absolutely exhausted and he gets covered in scratches and bites. Some days he'll run out of water and have to quit. Some days he'll be searching in the woods and he'll just stop and sit down in the middle of nowhere and start crying out of sheer frustration. And he loses hope all the time. He's like thinking to himself, what if I can't ever find this treasure? What if 50 years go by and I'm still searching for this stupid treasure chest? But Jack doesn't want to give up quite yet. He keeps going. And 2 years go by. And Jack is 32 now, and he's still out there looking for this thing. And then, one day, he finally has kind of a breakthrough. Using his big brain, he had already figured out the general location of where the treasure might be, Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming. But now he thinks he knows the exact spot. This is it! He says, this is the spot where Forrest wanted to die. And so, after 25 days of looking for the treasure in that specific location, Jack finally finds it. And then he drives from Wyoming all the way down to New Mexico, where Forrest lives, and he lets Forrest know that he found the chest. And Forrest is all happy, and so Forrest goes and he announces publicly that the chest has been found. And other people who had been looking for the treasure chest get super pissed. And they accuse Forrest of never really hiding the treasure in the first place, and this is an inside job, and they claim that no one really found the treasure. Forrest just wanted to end the hunt. And then, of course, people start filing lawsuits against him. He also, at one point, this poor guy is getting stalkers. He starts getting death threats. People were starting to break into his home, thinking that he had the treasure hidden there. It is wild. But anyway, a few months after the treasure is found, Forrest ends up passing away at 90 years old. Here is a picture of him with some of the treasure. And a few years after that, Jack actually auctions off the contents of the chest for $1.3 million. And here's what the treasure box looked like in real life. It's not really looking all that special, is it?
It's very crazy to me how people were sending him death threats because they couldn't find his things.
Guys, we may have just witnessed the single biggest glaze in human history. A Brazilian businessman who recently died left his entire $1 billion fortune to Neymar. And no, not because they were best buddies, they never even met. The businessman was just a massive fan of Neymar, and he didn't have any family, nor wife, nor kids. And in his will, which was obtained by Brazilian media, he said, I like Neymar, I identify with him a lot. He's not self-serving, something rare these days. His connection with his father reminds me a lot of the one I had with mine, who passed away. And just to put this insane amount of money in perspective, which consists of properties, investments, shares in companies, when you add it all up, it's over 3 times Neymar's current rumored net worth. So if Neymar decides to accept, he would have made more money from one single fan than he did in his entire football career. Now, it still has to be approved by the court, but many people are saying that he should give it away since he doesn't need it, while others argue that this was his last dying wish for Neymar to have his money, and if he wanted it to go to charity, he would have done that. So the question is, what should Neymar do?
Respectfully, I'm not Neymar, so I'm not going to say what Neymar should do. Actually, I am actually about to say what Neymar should do. This is big proof of why the rich get richer, because why does Neymar already have like around $300 million? He definitely doesn't need $300 million to live. So now he has like over $1 billion. He doesn't even need that. If I was Neymar, personally, I would probably split it, you know what I'm saying? Probably take like 300 mil and like give the rest to like some type of cancer foundation, charity foundation, homeless people, like something bigger, you know what I'm saying? Because Neymar literally does not need any of that money. He already does what he loves and makes money. So to him, money is like literally nothing. big proof of how the rich get richer. It's actually insane. And you know what's also very sad about that case? They said he was a billionaire with no kids, no family. I don't remember if he said he had no friends or not, but like, that should be such a soulless environment. Like, as much as everyone watching this video probably wants to be rich and successful, to be rich and successful but having no one to enjoy it with, like no girlfriend, no family, no friends, should be super soulless. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have all this money, you can buy whatever you want, the boat, the yacht, the jewelry, the car, but you have nobody. Should be absolutely terrible, man. As much as I want to be super wealthy when I get older, I do not want to have like a soulless wealthy future. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to have people that I generally enjoy being around, be very healthy, stuff like that, man. I feel like that's what makes life good. I feel like money, when you have money, it doesn't really hit as much. But yeah, man, if you guys got this far in the video, remember to like the video so it gets pushed to more people. If you haven't subscribed yet, smash that subscribe button. Join the 30% of people that are already subscribed to the channel. We're pushing 100K. Let's go.
Thank you all for watching this here video. Please like and subscribe.